Level 1, the commoner. Imagine standing on a freezing street corner, your fingers numb, counting your last few coins just to buy a hot drink. You are 27 years old, thousands of miles from home, teaching English to pay rent on a rundown flat with a broken heater. You are completely alone. Then she walks into your classroom. She sits in the back row, dresses plainly, and rarely speaks a word. You think she is just a quiet, shy student hiding from the world. After 3 weeks, you gather the courage to ask her out for a cheap tea by the river. When the bill comes, she orders the exact same inexpensive drink you do. You do not understand that quiet act of grace yet, but she instantly becomes the first warm light in your gray world. You start meeting every day. She asks endless questions about your childhood, your mother, your dreams, listening to you with an intensity no one ever has. You fall deeply in love, never noticing that she almost never speaks about her own family. You simply assume she is humble. Then comes the night that shatters your reality. As you walk her home, a sleek black car pulls up. 2 heavily built men step out and salute her like military guards. Your stomach drops into a cold void. When you ask who they are, she looks at the pavement and reveals the truth. Her father is a reigning monarch. You laugh, expecting a punchline. She doesn't laugh. Standing on that freezing pavement, you realize you are in over your head. A penniless teacher does not belong with a princess. You turn to run, but she grabs your hand and begs you to stay. You make a choice that will forever destroy the life you knew. Level 2, the fiancé. A year passes in a blur of secret meetings. You are 28, utterly devoted, saving every penny by skipping meals just to buy a modest engagement ring. You propose on a public hill overlooking the skyline because it costs nothing. She cries and says yes. For 7 days you feel like the luckiest man alive. Then the royal summons arrives. A black limousine fetches you on a foggy morning. The palace gates take a full minute to open, revealing an intimidating stone fortress guarded by armed sentries. Inside, servants glide like ghosts through endless marble corridors. The king meets you in an icy study. He doesn't offer a smile or a seat. He interrogates you about your origins. When you tell him your father was a plumber who fixed pipes for 30 years, you do not flinch. Instantly, advisors flood the room with legal contracts. They slide a thick stack of prenuptial papers across the table. It strips you of any claim to royal titles, wealth, or power, stating clearly that if the marriage fails, you leave with nothing. Her brother, the crown prince, sits across from you with a cold, mocking smirk, waiting for you to refuse. Instead, you sign every single page without reading twice. You aren't there for a crown, you are there for her. You return to your cramped apartment that night, terrified, aware that you have stepped into a world of hidden knives and ruthless power. Level 3, the newlywed. Your wedding is not a celebration. It is a massive political spectacle. 2,000 global elites fill the ancient cathedral while millions watch live around the world. Your mother stands proudly in a borrowed dress among world leaders. You say your vows, meaning every word, but the moment the cameras shut off, the fairy tale vanishes. You move into a massive, isolated wing of the Grand Palace. Every gesture you make is scrutinized. When you try to make your own bed, staff politely ask you to stop because it disrupts the household routine. Every family dinner feels like a high-stakes exam where one wrong word could ruin you. You quickly learn to admit ignorance rather than fake knowledge, listening twice as much as you speak. At a private reception, her brother corners you, whispering with a fake smile that men of your background never last in this family. You thank him politely, filing the warning away. You begin spending your nights in the vast royal library, desperately studying court history, ancient laws, and protocol, trying to understand the invisible games played around you. Level 4, the prince consort. By age 31, the temporary excitement of your fairy tale romance has completely faded, leaving behind an uneasy reality. Your wife is expecting your first child, a reality that subtly shifts the mood within the palace walls. The king's tone softens slightly toward you, but you remain without a defined purpose. Having given up your teaching career, you face days filled with an empty silence that feels heavy and disorienting. Determined to find your footing, you begin showing up to every official duty. Quietly walking a step behind your wife, shaking thousands of hands, and visiting local hospitals and schools. You observe the court dynamics carefully, noticing the king trusts almost no one and that every advisor carries a hidden agenda. When your son is born, holding him brings a surge of protective instinct, not just against the world, but against the hidden pressures of this very family. The king visits the newborn, looks at you with renewed attention, and invites you to a private conversation. Walking into that study, you realize you are slowly transforming into a sharper, more guarded version of yourself. Level 5, The Apprentice. The king presents you with a daunting challenge. Take over a failing royal charity burdened by corruption and public distrust. At 34, you throw yourself into the task, examining every financial record and confronting deep-rooted issues. Discovering that a longtime official has been quietly mismanaging funds, you make the painful decision to remove them, making your authority clear. Within 18 months, the charity is fully restored and thriving. This success earns you a quiet nod of approval from the king, but it deepens the hostility from your brother-in-law. Subtle rumors begin circulating, aimed at undermining your standing, teaching you that power in these halls is contested through quiet influence rather than open confrontation. You learn to navigate these dynamics with patience, building trust through steady, reliable action. Old advisors begin to view you not as an outsider, but as an indispensable part of the family's future. Level 6, The Working Royal. By 38, you hold a position on the Royal Council, managing vast national estates, public initiatives, and complex assets. You enter every meeting thoroughly prepared, asking direct questions that others avoid. Your growing influence leads the king to seek your counsel before major decisions, valuing your straightforward, honest perspective over empty praise. This growing reliance creates friction with the crown prince, who struggles to maintain his own standing during key council debates. Meanwhile, the relentless demands of your role take a visible toll on your health and personal life. Long hours and constant pressures keep you away from home, causing you to miss key moments in your children's lives. Though you promise your wife that the intense workload is temporary, both of you recognize how deeply embedded you have become in the machinery of the institution. Level 7, The Fixer and the Legacy. By your mid-40s, you handle sensitive matters that require absolute discretion, resolving delicate situations quietly behind the scenes to protect the family's standing. You learn that navigating these complex challenges requires understanding people's underlying motivations rather than relying on authority. Over time, the king's health begins to decline, and he relies on you to oversee essential operations. In his final days, the king speaks candidly with you, asking you to look after the family and maintain stability for the next generation. Standing as a central figure during the solemn state funeral, you reflect on the long journey from that quiet language classroom to the heart of the palace. The endless formal duties, complex court politics, and high expectations reveal the true weight of marrying into royalty, a path defined by duty, quiet sacrifice, and constant adaptation.